Sister, how was that edible?
Oh, good.
Welcome to the show. It's 420 Somewhere. Today we're going to talk about the large amount of money that weed has made in the past 6 years and some urine. Okay, it is Wednesday, May 26th, and first story is from Marijuana Policy Project. They kind of have compiled the last 7 years of data. I think I said 6 before, but I meant 7, of how much tax revenue marijuana has basically gained over the years, and it's a pretty huge amount. At this point, in total, across all of the states that have legalized recreational marijuana, it is at $7.9 billion, and a lot of that is coming from specific places. California is one of the biggest ones. Just in 2020 alone, California has made over $1 billion, which is crazy enough, a 62% increase from the year before. This is data that is coming from a place where we only have just a handful of states that have legal recreational marijuana. So to imagine a world where there are all 50 states with recreational legal marijuana, I feel like that number would be, thrice the size of 7.9. But the bigger question is, where is all this money going? So it's tax revenue, right? So it's going to the government. It's no longer just in this illicit market and kind of going into bad hands and whatever. It's going somewhere and the government is using it. They also kind of dove into that question as well, which is probably the more interesting side of the whole thing, because each state is taking the money and putting it in different places. For instance, in Oregon, 40% of the revenue is targeted towards public education and 25% towards mental health and treatment programs. So that is 65% of the pie. I'm not sure where the other percentage is going, but 65% of the pie going towards public education and mental health treatment sounds pretty good to me. In California, $100 million has so far gone towards community groups that help the neighborhoods most affected by the war on drugs. Now, $100 million is a very small percentage of the $1 billion that it made last year. So I feel like that number could be a bit larger, but it's still nice to see that amount of money going towards the communities that have been most, damaged from the war on drugs in the past. One final interesting little tidbit from this whole thing is that Illinois, in the last quarter, marijuana sales have outpaced alcohol sales, which to me is pretty alarming, just because the crazy ingrained nature of alcohol in the lifestyle of all Americans, and maybe that's swapping. Maybe this is the sign of a larger lifestyle swap, that America is now kind of going towards marijuana as opposed to alcohol, which in terms of health is clearly a much better option. Second story, another interesting thing. So this episode is all just based on the numbers of marijuana and how things are slowly changing incrementally over the years. And another interesting little thing is that urine tests, drug tests for employers, the amount of marijuana positive drug tests have slowly been increasing over the years. So in 2019, it was about 2.5% of all of the drug tests. Now that number has gone up to 2.7 last year, and 2.5 was up from 2% in 2016. So it's slowly going up. I have a little chart here that I'm going to put on the screen now. So that shows that marijuana is increasing as other positive results for other drugs are going down or staying the same. There are a couple reasons for this, obviously, and one of the big ones is that employers are no longer using marijuana as a reason to terminate people or to not hire them. Marijuana is becoming much more accepted in the workplace, or at least having a recreational usage of the marijuana that's much more acceptable for employers. So people are feeling less fear, and they feel like they can smoke out in the open now. In terms of which industries are getting higher, it's pretty obvious the ones which are hospitality, restaurant industries. Those are still the highest, with 6.3% of the tests coming back positive. There are other industries that are still lagging way behind, like transportation or any safety kind of industries. For instance, the Wall Street Journal just reported that a federal database was recently created to make it harder for truck drivers to hide past positive drug test results. So that one's not going anywhere. That's going to stay behind. Still, the big story about a month ago was that the White House, even though they had claimed that they would not use positive drug tests as was grounds for termination. They still kind of were. It's still kind of in this gray area, so we're unsure what's happening there, just as we're unsure what Biden's entire viewpoint is on marijuana in the first place. These two stories combined kind of created another picture of the culture of America very quickly flipping to then becoming a more accepted place for marijuana to grow and to flourish, really as kind of a recreational center point for a lot of things. And that's all we have today. We will be back on Friday with some more news. See you then.